Hey, is it just me, or does the music industry right now feel like it's at a very weird time right now in history? On the one hand, we have it's so much easier and convenient for new artists to get into this type of art and, actually make a profession out of it. But on the other hand, that profession kind of seems a little bit out of reach, and even more so as the years go by. Um, we have it so much harder for artists to actually make a living out of this, especially when it comes to major corporations like Spotify or Apple Music. Now, one of the main companies I want to talk about is Spotify, which is one of the biggest companies right now. And it's pretty much the most popular app that people use to listen to music. My main source for a lot of the information in this video is this YouTube video by Drew Gooden, which is called "The Music Industry is Broken." And in this video, he elaborates a lot more in depth on a lot of the problems that are in this music industry that are caused by Spotify and other companies like Live Nation and Ticketmaster. Now, I highly recommend you give the video a watch if you find the information in this video useful. One thing I found very interesting was that Spotify never really had the music industry or the artist's best interests at heart. The whole reason Spotify is a company as a whole was just a means to sell ads, and the way they found a means to traffic those ads to people was through music. And I'm not gonna sit here and talk about like the music industry was glamorous right before Spotify came around. The music industry did have a major problem with piracy, with websites like LimeWire, which made it so much easy for people to pirate and download music. The way Spotify distributes their revenue is on a 70-30% cut. So 70% of all the revenue from advertisements and subscriptions goes back to music rights holders and artists, while the remaining 30% goes back to Spotify and their expenses. But there's a common misconception that an artist earns about zero point 0.3 cents per stream, when technically that's not true. That number fluctuates and changes every day. But in actuality, there's a fixed revenue pool that Spotify makes, and that revenue goes throughout every artist on Spotify. So let's say an artist earns about 2% of all the streams on Spotify, they're then owed 2% of all the revenue. Now, this is where I feel like the rise in AI music is actually hurting artists and essentially stealing from them. Because that 70% revenue that artists are supposed to be making from Spotify and other streaming platforms is just getting thinned out more and more every day. Because people are uploading these AI songs by the hundreds, if not thousands, daily. Not to mention that a good chunk of these AI songs are being uploaded by Spotify themselves. So that 70%, or a good chunk of that 70% that's supposed to be going to artists, is just going right back into Spotify's pockets. Now, a website that I'm using to track these AI artists is called sloptracker.com. And here you can see a bunch of AI artists and the stats on how much income they're making. Like this one artist right here called Breaking Rust. Now, this artist specifically came out of nowhere and immediately got put on these Spotify made playlists, which is forcing these songs into the consumer's ears. So an artist that normally makes their own music keeps making music, like, and actually takes time to even be able to get on Spotify playlists. This artist immediately, as soon as they came up, started getting put on major Spotify playlists, and that kind of seems a little fishy to me. And if we look at SlopTracker.com, their monthly revenue is $19,000. So the money that you're paying for a Spotify subscription is going to someone who typed in a computer, make me a song that sounds like a Chevy commercial, and they're making $19,000 monthly from your subscriptions, instead of some artists who actually put in the time to make the art that they're making. Now, with all this information I've been telling you about AI music and Spotify is kind of infuriating you, here are some other apps that I recommend listening to and checking out that actually help artists and their work. Now, the first one I highly recommend is Quobos. Now, Quobos starts their subscriptions at $10.83 a month. Or if you're a student, you're in luck because they only start at $4.99 a month. And these artists pay or this app pays their artists extremely well. Um, One of the higher ones that any app does, where at a $19 per 1,000 stream rate for artists. And this app is also compatible with CarPlay and Android Auto if that's another key factor in your music app choosing. Now the second app I want to promote, not sponsored by the way by any of these. These are just ones that I recommend. Now the second one is Soundees. Soundees is free to use, or you could pay $5 a month to transfer all your songs and playlists from other apps to Soundees. Soundees is independently owned by these two French brothers, and yeah, it's one that I highly recommend using. Now the third one is called Tidal. Tidal is starts at $13.99 per month if you want ad free. But if you don't care about that, it's free to use. And their pay per stream rate for artists is about $13 per 1,000 streams. And this app is also owned by Jay-Z. So yeah, I don't know if you want to give these apps a try, but I highly recommend using them if you're in the market to switch apps other than Spotify.